Welcome to Retirement UTV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, how was that?
That was good. You're doing good.
Yay! Did anyone win $5 across the state? That's what we need to know.
I know. They need to know that we've been struggling with getting you to say the name correctly. So we were having a bet of whether or not you could do it. We said, you know what? For every time you get it wrong, we should give $5 to one of our best charities.
I totally agree. So what you don't know is that in between, it's been a week now since I've seen you, right? So I've been practicing your name over and over, and
You're getting closer and closer and closer.
I did kind of closer. Quaranta.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Brian
that's
Q.
Perfect. Brian Q. Right. Which is so much easier. It
is, and I know that you get called that all the time, just because it is so much easier.
Well, I have clients of 20 years that cannot pronounce my last name.
Oh my goodness gracious!
So it's been a name that's been butchered all my life. So yeah, when we go with Brian Q, it's just the easiest for people.
Absolutely. And you have been extraordinarily busy. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show today, and thank you for having me on the show. I know that just everything has been amazing since the shows began. You've just really been increasing the amount of people that are coming in wanting to talk about just what's going on right now with where we are, and also how to properly plan for retirement.
Yeah, I think people are just really hungry for good information.
Yeah.
And my team and I wake up every day to really provide accurate information, information on very complex topics, and we work really hard to try to simplify that the best we can, so that when it comes to having to make a very big decision, I mean, this isn't like we're going out and picking out new carpet or, a kitchen faucet. I mean, we could return those things. When it comes to retirement planning, it's not a dress rehearsal.
No.
And we don't get a second chance. And the problem is that, there's too much information. And a lot of times when we have too much information, or you're getting multiple opinions, there's a paralysis by analysis.
Sure.
And what happens is a confused mind does nothing.
Yes, you freeze.
You freeze. Yeah. Which is the worst thing that somebody can do approaching retirement, is do nothing. Because there's so many things that need to change as you get into that retirement red zone, 5 years, 10 to 5 years from retirement. And the things that got you to where you are today, the things that you've been doing in what we call your accumulation phase, are not the same strategies you're going to use as you move into the retirement phase.
Sure.
Because the challenge that the majority of people are dealing with today going into retirement is they're not getting pensions.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are now tasked with having to figure out how they're going to take this sum of money that they've accumulated with their employer, right? Probably in some type of 401k or TSP account or 403b account. And they've got to figure out now how they are going to generate additional monthly income on top of what they're getting in Social Security.
Sure.
And that really is their pension.
Yeah.
If you go back 30, 40 years ago, retirement was pretty simple.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and
big party.
There was a big party. You got a gold watch.
Yeah, gold watch, absolutely.
You don't see that anymore.
No, you don't.
Because you knew, you go back 30, 40 years ago, even longer than that, you knew that if you gave a company a certain amount of time, that they were going to provide you with a pension, and they would tell you, you can retire at 55, or you can retire at 62, or and here's how much we'll give you for the rest of your life.
I know.
So people knew that, hey, when I turn 62, I'm going to get this pension from my company, and I'm also going to get a Social Security check. And so they would have their retirement date, and they would say, I'm retiring next January, or I'm retiring next March, and they would have a big party.
Yeah.
And any additional money, though, that people had saved, they didn't have to worry about taking risk with that money in the stock market.
No.
Because what they did was, most people would take that extra money that they saved, they would go down to the local bank, and they would buy a bank CD.
Of course, and get a toaster. Tupperware.
Something like that, right?
Yes, over and over.
That's right. And so, and because it was so simple, because banks were paying maybe 10 to 15% on a bank CD.
Yeah.
So if they did need a little additional income, and my grandfather did this. My grandfather had a Kirby vacuum cleaner store.
Yes,
you remember Kirby Vacuum?
Of course I do. I remember my mom and dad talking about the Kirby vacuum cleaner guy that would come door to door.
Yeah.
And absolutely.
Yeah, my grandfather had a Kirby store in New Jersey, and I would go to the bank with him. I'd work at the store. He'd teach me how to polish up these Kirbys before we gave them back to the clients.
Oh my!
And he would always teach me. He would always teach me that service is the most important thing that you can provide to people. But he also taught me that he said, Brian, you're going to work very, very hard for your money over your life.
Yeah.
And make sure that when you invest it, all you have to do is protect the principal and live off the interest.
Sure.
And what he was really talking about was bank CDs. So him and my grandma would vacation a lot when he was retired, and they would do that off of the supplemental income that he was getting from the bank CDs.
Okay.
I mean, think about that. If you had an extra $200,000 saved, and the bank was going to give you 10% on that CD.
That's incredible.
That's an extra $20,000 a year that they would be getting on top of their pensions and Social Security.
Wow.
And of course,
so much easier then.
So much easier. And if you look at it today, it's just changed so much.
I know.
People are getting little or no pensions at all.
Yeah.
You'll see that a lot. You'll see maybe someone has a small pension because the contract changed at the company, and the company said, you know what, we're no longer going to do the pension. So we're going to freeze it where it's at. For those of you that participated in it, you'll still get a little something down the road, but we're going to move to this 401k plan. And it was a lot cheaper for the employer to provide the 401k plan than it was the pension.
Of course.
And they wanted to release themselves of that liability. They didn't want to have the liability of having to provide that income for the rest of somebody's life. So they created, they implemented the 401k plan.
Sure.
And so what we have to realize is that most people today need to look at that 401k as not an account that you can gamble with, but an account that really represents your pension.
Oh, absolutely.
And the concerning thing is that most people that are invested in 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, most of that money, if not all of it, is typically invested directly in the market.
Yeah.
And so think about it. A lot needs to go right in order for you to be able to generate income off of that for the rest of your life. And there's a rule of thumb out there that's been used to determine how much money you can take out of a retirement account, and it's called the 4% rule.
Okay.
Well, it's been around for years, and a lot of big firms still recommend it today. But there's been a lot of research shown on it that there's over up to a potentially 56% chance of that strategy failing, meaning that if people are taking out 4% a year, and they get market volatility at the very beginning of their retirement, which is called sequencing risk, that there's up to a 56% chance of failure. Could you imagine that?
No, I can't.
Could you imagine? I mean, if there was true honesty when you go in and you sign up to work with a financial planning firm and they've got all of your money at risk, and you sign on the dotted line, could you imagine if the advisor said, hey, by the way, I want you to know that based on current statistics, that there is potentially a 56% chance of failure. That would be like getting on an airplane today.
Exactly.
And a plane that was headed out for Hawaii.
Yeah.
And the captain gets on the intercom and he says, I just want you to know, folks, that there's, up to a 56% chance that we could crash into the ocean before we get to Hawaii.
Right.
How many people would stay on that plane?
Probably zero.
Probably zero. Yeah. So we have to rethink what we're doing in retirement, and that's really what we're doing at Secure Money Advisors. And we really have taken the time to figure out the 5 areas that people need to focus on, and we teach them the best practices to maximize their overall wealth and reduce their risk, and to reduce the risk of their wealth being eroded by lawsuits, disability, taxes, and things along those lines.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines to the viewing audience for the very first time this week. Can you tell them what they can expect to receive by being one of your callers?
Sure. Folks, for the next 10 callers who call in right now, here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to work with you when you come into the office, and we're going to build a plan with you right there when you come into the office. Now, in order to make change, you've got to take action, right? And procrastination is something you can't do when we get close to retirement. We have to take a step forward. We can't kick the can down the road. Don't be one of those folks that kick the can down the road. Get some peace of mind around this retirement stuff. What we've done at Secure Money Advisors, we've made it very simple and easy for you to understand. So when you come in, we're going to guide you and give you turn-by-turn directions of what to do and how to do it, so that we're going to teach you how to maximize your overall wealth and reduce as much risk as possible. possible. So again, for the next 10 callers who call in right now, the number you can call is 888-382-1298. Again, that's 1-888-382-1298. That's going to be a complimentary, no cost financial review when you come in.
Thank you, Brian. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call once again is 888-382-1298. We realize the phone lines have been busy in the past, so we do have the additional phone line open this week for your convenience. Again, the number to call is 888-382-1298. When we come back from this very short commercial break, I'm going to have more questions and answers for Brian about how to plan your perfect stress-free retirement. Please stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have, by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Q. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. I went with the safe bet.
It's so much easier, isn't it?
It is, because I'm the last person you would find in Vegas. I don't like to gamble. I got it right the first time. I'm like a little nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, a great show we're having, and I love all the information that you provide each week to the viewing audience. And I want to ask you your opinion on something. Obviously, we know right now with where we are, taxes are at an all-time low. They're on sale, if you will, right? It's like bargain shopping at Target.
That's
the taxes are on sale.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but how important is it when you're factoring someone's retirement plan to take in what taxes could be in the years to come? Is that something that you usually work on as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but I always ask folks, I mean, do you think taxes are going up or down in the future?
Right.
Right. And most people agree that they're probably going to go up in the future.
Okay.
So, and that becomes a problem, especially when you think about the fact that most people are probably going to have to take income out of their retirement accounts. And for most people, those retirement accounts that we're talking about are 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, which have never been taxed before.
Sure.
So every dollar we take out of those accounts are going to become taxable. But not only is the money coming out of those accounts going to be taxable, but it also is going to impact something called your provisional income formula, which is how they tax your Social Security. So now we're talking about taking money out of a retirement account that's going to compound how much taxes that you're going to have to pay on your Social Security. And we could pay up to potentially 85%.
Wow.
On the Social Security, or I should say 85% of the Social Security can become taxable at whatever your ordinary income tax rate is.
Okay.
So how do we fix that?
Yeah.
Well, we can be smart and start to think about tax strategies that relieve us of those tax burdens in retirement later on, something called conversions.
Okay.
So with Roth IRAs, there's limits of how much we can put into a Roth IRA, but there's an unlimited amount that we can actually convert. And so we can start to convert taxable money to tax-free money, which also will eliminate your Social Security from becoming taxable on later on down the road.
Okay.
But we have a very limited time to do these strategies.
Yeah.
And the problem is too many people kick the can down the road and they don't take action on it. And if with proper planning, you could have income coming in every single year that's tax-free.
Yeah.
Right? That's tax-free. The other thing too is that when it comes to taxes, The other big thing that's going to impact folks that they don't think about is the required minimum distribution, also known as the RMD.
Okay.
Now, this is what the IRS requires you to start taking out of your qualified retirement plans now at the age of 72.
Okay.
There was a change in the law in 2019. It used to be 70.5 that you had to take money out of your IRA accounts and 401ks and 403bs, but now it's 72.
Okay.
So for example, if somebody had $500,000 sitting in a retirement account, and let's say they didn't have to take any money out of it because they had plenty of money coming in from Social Securities and maybe they were fortunate to have a pension, the IRS isn't going to care once you turn 72. They're going to say, you need to start taking money whether you want to or not. And there's a formula that they use. Okay. There's a life expectancy formula they use. So, quick calculation, if someone had $500,000, in the first year that they turn 72, they're going to have to take out about $18,000, $19,000, and that's going to count as taxable income to them.
Wow.
Now, this gets really worse for people that don't understand how to take these RMDs, because if the IRS finds out that you didn't take your required minimum distribution, which some people forget to do it,
right,
there's a 50% penalty.
Did you say 50%?
50%.
Wow, that is staggering.
Staggering. So if you were required to take out $18,000 and you failed to do that, that would be a $9,000 mistake that you made, that you would have to pay back to the IRS in penalties. So taxes are a big deal, and they have to be focused on in retirement, and we have to have tax strategies to be able to do that. And that's why at Secure Money Advisors, we have aligned ourselves with a team of individuals that specialize in these areas. Because when you come to Secure Money Advisors, we provide you with a team. And I act as the financial quarterback, but that would be like you having access to the best neurosurgeon, the best heart doctor, the best knee doctor. And that's the way we've approached it at Secure Money Advisors, so that you get the maximum overall amount of growth on your wealth, but we keep the risk down as much as we can by looking at all of these areas. And the 5 key areas, Cynthia, are income. We have to focus on how we're going to generate income, how that income is going to impact taxes. We're going to focus on investments. We're going to focus on the fact that we want to bring fees down. We want to get better growth. We want to reduce risk. We also want to focus on taxes. We also want to focus on health care. How are we going to handle a health event? How are we going to handle a situation where maybe you want to retire before the age of 65 and you don't qualify for Medicare? But once you qualify for Medicare, what if you need some type of supplement? And then, of course, the big one is what happens when the good Lord decides to take you home. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have a plan for your money when you die, I promise you, the IRS will, and so will the state of Pennsylvania.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. So Brian, I want to talk again. I know in case someone is just watching for the very first time, tuning in and they're getting to know you, I really need to stress how very compassionate you are with each and every one of your clients. And I love the fact that you have such an educating heart, because you like to take the time to really sit down with each client that you have, your team as well, and to make sure that they understand what you're saying. And I think that is such a special gift, especially in a day and age where people are being rushed from one thing to the next. You got to get going, go here, go there. You really take the time to make sure that they have all the time they need and that they leave understanding what the plan is that you're putting in place.
Well, I think that's one approach that everybody needs, is where we want to take the time for you to understand. Now, we don't need you to become an expert on it, but we want you to have a good grasp on why you're doing what you need to do. Because when you understand it to a level to where you get it, right, it's much easier for you to sleep better at night and have peace of mind, because you just understand, the little twists and turns that go into this whole retirement planning thing. And so it takes time and it takes patience. And that's one thing that I teach my team, is that these are big decisions that people need to make. And they need to have, we need to have the patience and helping them, educate them along the way so that they can make good informed decisions. And our job is to be a guide. We're not there to dictate what they need to do. Our job is to be a guide. Well, how do we be a guide? We help them first understand where they are. Then we help them understand what risk or threats that they have in their current situation. And then we help them understand how they can fix that. And then from there, if they want to move forward, we help them by implementing the entire plan for them, and it's a turnkey service that they get access to.
And everyone loves you, Brian. And on that note, we're going to open up the phone lines to the viewing audience again this week. Can you tell them what they can expect to receive, Brian?
Folks, again, for the next 10 callers, and there's not 10 spots left. I think there's only about 3 spots left right now. 3. So call in. As I've said before, you can't make change if you're procrastinating. You cannot kick the can down the road here. Take advantage of this offer today. Come on into the office. What we're going to do is we're going to sit down with you and we're going to build a plan right there with you. We're going to walk through those 5 key areas that I talked about with Cynthia here. We're going to talk about income. We're going to talk about investments. We're going to talk about taxes, healthcare, and your legacy. If we have all the I's dotted and T's crossed on those 5 areas, you are going to have a comprehensive plan that everything has been checked off on. So again, this is complimentary to you for you to come in and sit down with a fiduciary and go through your plan from A to Z. All you have to do is call 1-888-382-1298. Again, that's a complimentary financial review at no obligation or cost to you.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewing audience at home, once again, we only have 3 spots remaining this week. The number to call is 888-382-1298. Let Brian guide you in the proper direction so you can retire with having peace of mind and security. Again, the number to call is 888-382-1298. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Retirement U TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Kwawantra. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. I snuck the R in there.
You took the rest.
I'm like, let me give
What
it a
charity's
shot.
getting the $5?
I think we should talk about that. We're going to actually put together some really good charities.
We will. You know, we'll have to have a little money jar out here. You know, we'll have to every time we get it wrong, we'll have to put $5 in it.
Wait a minute, you're not going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it wrong. Let's hope you don't get it wrong.
I
Then
might
we have
start
a
saying my own last name wrong.
You may change the spelling just due to me. You're going to add an R at the end. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Brian, I want to talk to you a little bit about what it feels like to be one of your clients, because I know that I've heard such amazing feedback, especially in between the shows when I've had the chance to actually receive emails from viewers that have actually called in or scheduled the time with you. But I want to hear it in your words, what someone can expect to receive service-wise from being one of your clients. And let's talk a little bit about someone maybe you helped recently and why did they choose to work with you?
Yeah. Well, we really do follow a very disciplined process when folks come in, and you know, it's the Secure Money Advisors Retirement Roadmap. And what we do for them is the first step really in it is for us to meet with those folks and really understand what challenges they're dealing with, what their goals are, what threats or obstacles are in the way of trying to achieve those things. And then for us to really look at where they are and understand what those accounts are supposed to be doing for them and whether or not they're actually going to accomplish those goals. And then we can kind of determine, do we have the tools and ability to be able to help them? Because we have to know that if we're going to onboard somebody, I want to make a true change and impact in their life. And our goal is to bring a client on and make them a client for life.
Yeah.
And we do that truly through transparency and educating them and understanding where they are. And then from there, when we do the analysis for them and we look at all these what if scenarios, what if scenarios are things such as what happens if your husband dies first, what happens if you die first, what happens if taxes go up, what happens if we have a premature death, what happens if we have a health event, and we need to stress test that portfolio to see how it's going to respond. What happens if we take this much money out every single year? What happens if all of a sudden you have an emergency and we've got to take a larger amount of money out each year? And then we stress test that with them, and then we kind of give them turn-by-turn directions. And then from there, it's really easy for them to become a client because we've got a team of people that are truly there to make an impact, and they're very caring of, because we don't take it lightly when somebody decides to be a client. It's a big decision for somebody to trust somebody else with their money.
It's an honor.
Yes, it absolutely is, and we look at it that way. But we have a 411 client care process, and what that looks like for them is that 4 times a year we get together with our clients. Some of those events are educational, some of them are a little bit more fun, where we bring everybody together. And then we also, 1 time a year, we do a kind of the state of a markets address for folks, and then we do an annual review with them. And then they get access to unlimited financial planning appointments per year anytime they need to sit down with us and go through it.
That's amazing.
But what they're going to notice when they come in is a team of people that care, that are patient, and want to guide them through that process.
Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Let's talk a little bit about someone that has come into the office recently that you've been able to help. Perhaps did someone have to retire earlier, Brian, due to COVID-19 and perhaps a forced layoff?
My most recent client that I helped retire is it was very special for me because they were moving to Wyoming, and we had worked together for about a year, really working through a lot of obstacles. There was a lot of things going on in their life at the time, and we weren't really sure whether or not that Wyoming thing was really going to work out. And we worked really hard piecing everything together. And they had stopped into the office a couple weeks ago, and they were leaving. They were packed up, ready to go. And it's so nice for us to help people's dreams and goals come true. It really is. But this is what we do at Secure Money Advisors, and this is why we offer the complimentary reviews. But like I said, you can't procrastinate on these things. You can't kick the can down the road. So when you come in for the next 10 callers, which I don't even know, do we need to open up more spots?
I would say let's open up 5 more spots.
So we can open up 5 more spots. So 5 more spots for anybody that calls in right now. You're going to get a complimentary review. We're going to sit down. We're going to really build a plan together. If you call 1-888-382-1298. Again, that's 1-888-382-1298. We're going to give you a complimentary financial review at no cost and no obligation to you.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewing audience at home, that number to call once again is 888-382-1298. Brian has added additional spots this week. We'll see you next week. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. Take care.